My fiancé cheated on me with his ex at his bachelor party and texted me. I went back to her because she's better than you. I was staring at my phone screen in the break room when my entire world collapsed into a single text message. Not a call. Not even the decency of a voice explaining what was happening. Just words on a screen that made my coffee taste like ash in my mouth. The message was from Trevor, my fiancé of 2 years, currently at his bachelor party 3 states away. I need to tell you something, and I can't do this over the phone, so I'm just going to say it. I ran into Cassidy last night at the hotel bar. We talked for hours, and everything I felt for her came rushing back. We spent the night together, and I've decided to give us another real chance. I know the timing is terrible, but I can't marry you when my heart is somewhere else. I'm keeping the ring since I'll probably use it with her eventually. I'm sorry. I read it 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. Each time hoping the words would somehow rearrange themselves into something that made sense. Something that didn't feel like a bomb detonating in my chest. The fluorescent lights above me buzzed with an intensity that suddenly felt deafening. My hands didn't shake. I didn't cry. I didn't scream or throw the phone across the room like they do in movies. Instead, something cold and methodical clicked into place in my brain, like a circuit breaker flipping to protect the system from overload. My hands were steady as I set the phone down, but my body knew before my brain fully processed it. My heart rate slowed to something thick and heavy. My mouth went dry. The edges of the room seemed to darken, like my peripheral vision was shutting down, focusing all my awareness on that screen, those words, that singular moment of my life splintering. This is what shock feels like, I remember thinking. This crystalline clarity where everything slows down and your brain starts categorizing what needs to be done, because if you stop to actually feel what's happening, you'll shatter into 1,000 pieces right here on the break room floor between the vending machine and the motivational poster about teamwork. I'd been in the middle of eating a sandwich, turkey and Swiss on wheat bread with just a little mustard, the same lunch I ate every Tuesday. The sandwich sat on the table in front of me, and I stared at it like it was an artifact from another life. The life I'd been living 20 minutes ago when I thought I knew what my future looked like. When I thought I was engaged to someone who loved me. When I thought 3 weeks until the wedding meant something. I typed back one word. Understood. Not, how could you? Not, after everything we've been through. Not, please don't do this. Just one word that conveyed absolutely nothing of the hurricane building inside me. Then I opened my banking app and canceled the automatic monthly payment of $2,500 to Westfield Fine Jewelers. The payment that had been draining my account for the past 9 months. The payment that was supposed to be my gift to him, my contribution to our future. My way of showing that I was all in on this relationship. $22,500 I'd already paid. Gone. Just gone. $22,500. That was a year of groceries. That was a reliable used car. That was 6 months of mortgage payments. That was my emergency fund that I'd spent 5 years building. And I'd handed it over willingly, month after month, because I thought we were building something together. The ring had been Trevor's idea from the start. He wanted to build credit history with a luxury jeweler, he said. Good for his career in luxury marketing. He worked for a high-end brand consulting firm, helping luxury companies position themselves to ultra-wealthy clients. Having a relationship with Westfield, having purchased an expensive item there, would help him network, he explained. The line of credit would be in his name, but would I mind covering the monthly payments as an engagement gift? It seemed romantic at the time. A secret between us. I was literally investing in our future together. I'd even thought it was clever. He'd shown me articles about how important industry relationships were in luxury marketing, how the best consultants had personal experience with the brands they represented. It all made sense. And I made good money as an operations manager at a mid-sized logistics company. $2,500 a month was tight but manageable. I'd cut back on other things, stopped going to yoga classes, started bringing lunch from home every day instead of ordering out, canceled my house cleaning service, small sacrifices for our future. Now that investment was about to become his problem. I drafted an email to the jeweler with a copy of the payment cancellation and a brief explanation. I am no longer responsible for this account. The borrower is Trevor Ashworth. All future correspondence should go directly to him. Attached, please find documentation of the payment cancellation and notification that I will not be making any further voluntary contributions to this account. It was 1:47 in the morning. I couldn't sleep, obviously. My mind was racing through every conversation, every moment, every red flag I might have missed. I sat on the floor of my apartment that I'd bought 1 year before I even met him, that I'd been so proud of buying at 29 with money I'd saved working 60-hour weeks, and systematically changed the code on my electronic door lock. Then I started making a list of everything that needed to be canceled. The venue, $15,000 in non-refundable deposits, gone. We'd booked the historic mansion in the Garden District a year ago. I'd fallen in love with the way afternoon light filtered through the oak trees. The catering, $3,000, gone. I'd spent 4 hours at the tasting, carefully selecting each course. The photographer, the florist who'd promised the most romantic setup, the band who'd learned our song, another $7,000 scattered across vendors I'd spent months selecting. And then the dress. $3,200 hanging in my closet in a protective bag. Ivory lace with a sweetheart neckline that had made my mother cry when she saw me in it. "You look so beautiful, baby," she'd said. Now I'd have to figure out what to do with it. Donate it? Sell it? The thought of it made me sick. Those deposits represented 2 years of careful saving. $15,000 for the venue with the oak trees where I'd imagined walking down the aisle. $3,000 for catering. Another $7,000 scattered across the photographer we'd booked 18 months in advance. The florist who'd promised the most romantic setup. The live band who'd learned our song. And $3,200 for a dress hanging in my closet that I'd never wear. $25,000 that had been earmarked for a down payment on a bigger place. Now just gone. The price of trusting someone who could send a breakup text at 1 in the morning because he was too cowardly to hear me cry. By 3 a.m., I had sent emails to 17 different vendors. Most of them would keep the deposits. Some of them sent immediate automated responses confirming my cancellation and thanking me for my business. That last part felt like a slap. I changed all my streaming service passwords. He'd been using my accounts for everything: movies, music, even my premium meditation app that I'd bought specifically to manage the wedding stress. Every shared password got updated. Every joint anything got separated. I was methodically erasing him from my life while he was probably sleeping off his reunion with Cassidy, completely unaware that his financial situation was about to implode. The boxes of wedding invitations sat in my closet. Custom letterpress, cream cardstock with gold foil edges, 35 invitations at $40 each. I'd been so proud of them when they arrived. Now I shoved them all into a garbage bag without looking at them too closely. I finally collapsed into bed around 4 a.m. My alarm went off at 7. I'd slept maybe 3 hours, and those hours were filled with fragmented dreams where I kept trying to find something I'd lost but couldn't remember what it was. My phone started ringing at 8:15. I was in the shower, letting the hot water run over me and pretend I was washing away the previous 12 hours. Pretending that if I scrubbed hard enough, I could scrub away the feeling of being discarded like trash. When I finally checked my messages, there were 6 missed calls and 3 voicemails. The first voicemail was from Danielle, one of Trevor's close friends from college. Her voice was tight with barely concealed irritation. "Hey, Sloan, Trevor's card got declined this morning and he's freaking out. Did you forget to make the jewelry payment? He's saying something about you canceling it, but that doesn't make any sense because why would you do that? Can you call me back? He's really upset, and honestly, this is kind of messed up timing with everything he's going through right now. Just call me back so we can sort this out." Everything he's going through? Like he was the victim here. Like I was supposed to feel sorry for him because his credit card got declined after he cheated on me. I deleted it without finishing. The second was from Trevor's mother, Patricia. No greeting, no pleasantries, just straight into it with that tone she used when she was trying to sound reasonable, but was actually furious. "Sloan, I don't know what's going on, but you need to fix this situation with the ring payment immediately. Trevor promised me everything was taken care of financially. This is unacceptable. That ring represents a significant investment, and you can't just stop paying for it because you're angry. I raised my son better than this, and I know you're better than this too. Call me back right now so we can handle this like adults." Like adults. She wanted me to handle this like an adult. Her 31-year-old son had sent me a text message at 1 in the morning to inform me he was cheating on me and keeping an $80,000 ring, but I needed to be the adult here. I deleted that one too, my hand shaking now. Not from fear or sadness, but from pure rage. The audacity of these people. The absolute audacity. The third was from a number I didn't recognize. I almost skipped it, but something made me listen. "Hi, this is Karen from Westfield Fine Jewelers. We're calling because your payment for account ending in 4791 was declined this morning, and we also received your email. We need to clarify some things about the account responsibility. Please call us back at your earliest convenience." I saved that one. I'd need to forward it to my lawyer. My lawyer. I needed a lawyer now. This was my life at 32 years old. I needed a lawyer because my fiancé had cheated on me and I'd stopped paying for his $80,000 ring. I got dressed slowly, carefully, put on my favorite blazer, the navy one that made me feel competent and in control. Applied makeup that covered the circles under my eyes, straightened my spine, and walked out the door like I wasn't falling apart inside. At work, I managed to make it until lunch before my phone rang again. Trevor's mother. I sent it to voicemail. She called back immediately. I sent it to voicemail again. On the third call, I answered, if only to stop the incessant ringing that was making my coworkers look over at my desk. Sloan, what is going on? Her voice was shrill enough that I had to hold the phone away from my ear. Trevor said you stopped the payment without telling anyone. He doesn't have $2,500 just lying around each month. His new girlfriend certainly doesn't have it either. You made a promise? I made a promise to my fiancé, I interrupted, my voice eerily calm even as my free hand clenched into a fist. Trevor is no longer my fiancé. He made that very clear yesterday when he informed me via text message that he was resuming a relationship with his ex-girlfriend. The payments were a gift, contingent on our engagement. No engagement means no gift. That's not how this works. You can't just... Patricia, the credit line is in Trevor's name. I was making voluntary payments. There was no contract, no legal obligation. I was paying for his ring as a gift because I thought we were getting married. We're not getting married. The gift is over. But he can't afford? That's not my problem anymore. My voice was getting sharper now. People were definitely looking. I stood up and walked toward the stairwell for privacy. He should have thought about that before he cheated on me 3 weeks before our wedding. He should have thought about that before he decided to keep an $80,000 ring that I've been paying for. Those were his choices. Now he gets to live with the consequences. You're being vindictive. I'm being vindictive? I laughed, and it sounded bitter even to my own ears. Your son cheated on me, humiliated me, canceled our wedding, and tried to steal a ring I've paid over $20,000 toward. And I'm the vindictive one for not continuing to fund his new relationship? That girl has nothing to do with this. Trevor just needed time to figure out his feelings. All future communication needs to go through my attorney. I'll have them reach out to you with their contact information. Don't you dare hang up on me, young lady. I hung up. Then I blocked her number, my hands shaking so hard I almost dropped the phone. I sat down on the stairs of the emergency stairwell and pressed my palms against my eyes, trying to steady my breathing. My hands were shaking now, not from fear or sadness, but from rage, pure. White-hot rage that Trevor had the audacity to cheat on me, keep the ring, and then sick his mother on me about the payments. That evening, my apartment intercom buzzed. The front desk attendant sounded apologetic. Miss Sloan, there's a Trevor Ashworth here to see you. He says it's urgent. Tell him the access code has changed and he needs to schedule a time through my attorney to collect his belongings. He's saying he lives here? He doesn't. The lease and deed are in my name only. He never changed his legal address. Never paid rent, never signed any cohabitation agreement. If he refuses to leave, please call building security. There was a pause. I could hear Trevor's voice in the background, raised and angry. Understood, the attendant said finally. I'll relay that message. 30 minutes later, my doorbell rang. I checked the security camera feed on my tablet. 2 police officers stood in the hallway. Behind them, Trevor was gesturing animatically, and beside him, oh, this was rich. Cassidy stood with her hand in his, looking like she was playing the role of concerned girlfriend in a made-for-TV movie. She was pretty, I'd give her that. Long dark hair, perfect makeup even at 7 p.m. She wore a designer dress that probably cost more than my monthly car payment. I buzzed them in, already pulling up documents on my phone. The older officer looked tired, like this was the 10th domestic dispute call he'd responded to that day. Ma'am, we got a call about an illegal lockout situation? I handed him my tablet, already open to a photo of the property deed. This is my apartment. I'm the sole owner. Here's the deed dated 3 years ago, 2 years before I even met Trevor. He never lived here officially. He stayed over frequently but never changed his legal address, never paid rent, never contributed to the mortgage, never signed any kind of cohabitation agreement. I can provide utility bills in my name only if you need them. The younger officer was reading something on Trevor's phone, his eyebrows rising slightly. Sir, this message here, did you write this? I couldn't see Trevor's face clearly from where I stood in my doorway, but I heard the defensive tone in his voice. Yes, but that's taken out of context. It says pretty clearly that you're ending the relationship and keeping the ring. The officer looked at me. Did he give you this ring back? No. He's currently wearing it. All 3 officers, because yes. Apparently, this situation had warranted 3 officers, looked at Trevor's left hand. Sure enough, the enormous diamond engagement ring glinted under the hallway lights. Because yes, he'd insisted on a style flashy enough to impress his luxury marketing clients, flashy enough that it could work as either an engagement ring or a statement piece. It's unisex, he'd said. Really sophisticated. The older officer sighed deeply. So you broke up with her via text, kept the ring, and now you're here claiming she illegally locked you out of an apartment you don't own? She's holding the ring hostage. That's $80,000. That you financed, I said calmly, still standing in my doorway. In your name. I was making voluntary payments as a gift. Gifts stop when relationships end. The credit line was always yours. The debt was always yours. I just stopped paying for it. Cassidy's face had gone pale. Her hand dropped from Trevor's. Wait, the ring has a payment plan? An $80,000 payment plan, the younger officer confirmed, still reading Trevor's phone, at approximately $2,500 per month, which she was paying. The credit line is in your name, sir? Well, yes, but she promised. Verbally? The older officer asked. Yes, but. So there's no contract? Trevor's face was red now. She said she'd handle it. She knew I was building a relationship with the jeweler for my career. She can't just stop paying because she's mad. Actually, she can, the older officer said wearily. Unless you have a signed contract stating she's financially responsible for your debts, which I'm guessing you don't. This is a civil matter, not a criminal one. Trevor. You told me it was paid off. Cassidy's voice cracked. The older officer held up his hand. This is a civil matter. Sir, you need to arrange property collection through proper legal channels. Ma'am, you're within your rights to change your locks. We're done here. As they turned to leave, I heard Cassidy's voice rising in the hallway. $80,000? In your name? Are you fucking kidding me right now? I closed the door, walked to my couch, and sat down. Then I laughed. It wasn't a happy laugh. It was the kind of laugh that comes when you realize your life has turned into such an absurd nightmare that laughter is the only response that makes sense. The next morning, I woke up to 17 text messages from people I barely knew, all asking if I was okay or telling me they'd seen the posts. I had no idea what they were talking about until my coworker Priya pulled me aside during our morning meeting. Have you checked social media today? She asked quietly. No. Why? She showed me her phone. Cassidy had posted a long, emotional essay about how she and Trevor had rekindled their once-in-a-lifetime love, but now his vindictive ex-fiancé was trying to destroy their happiness out of jealousy. The post painted me as someone who had manipulated Trevor into debt, then abandoned him financially when he finally found the courage to follow his heart. The post had been shared 43 times. Multiple people I knew had commented, defending Cassidy and calling me cruel. People who had never asked me what actually happened. There's more, Priya said gently. She scrolled to another post. This one claimed I was withholding an expensive ring that rightfully belonged to Trevor and using legal threats to harass them. My face burned. This is insane. I know. But Sloan, David from marketing shared it. So did 2 people from accounting. And your manager saw it before I could warn you. My stomach dropped. Rebecca saw this? She wants to talk to you at 2. The meeting with Rebecca was excruciating. She sat across from me, hands folded on her desk, expression carefully neutral, in that way managers have when they're about to deliver news they know you won't want to hear. Her office was impeccably organized, everything in its place, a contrast to the chaos currently consuming my life. I want to be clear that your personal life is your own business, she began, her voice measured. However, when it starts appearing in public forums where clients and colleagues can see it, it becomes a professional concern. We've had 3 people reach out to HR asking questions. One of our clients saw the posts and asked if the company knew what was happening with one of our operations managers. My stomach twisted. A client? The situation is creating conversation. And in our industry, reputation matters. I'm not saying you've done anything wrong. I'm saying we need to understand the full picture. I pulled out my phone with shaking hands. This is what actually happened. I showed her the original text message from Trevor, the one that started everything, then the payment cancellation, then the police report from when he'd shown up at my apartment with Cassidy. Rebecca read everything carefully, her expression softening slightly as she scrolled through the evidence. He sent this at 1:47 in the morning, she noted, while I was asleep. Woke up to it in the break room the next day. She was quiet for a long moment, still reading. And the ring payments? He wanted to build credit with a luxury jeweler for his career. The line of credit was in his name, but I agreed to make the payments as an engagement gift. When he ended the engagement and said he was keeping the ring for his new girlfriend, I canceled my voluntary payments. The debt was always his. Rebecca closed my phone and handed it back to me. "I believe you," she said finally, and the relief that washed over me was almost physical. But Sloan, this woman has created a public narrative, and perception matters. The people sharing those posts don't know what I know. They're not seeing the evidence. They're seeing an emotional story that confirms whatever they already believe about relationships and breakups. So, what do I do? My voice cracked slightly. She's lying about me in public spaces. People I work with believe her. How do I fix that? You don't respond publicly, Rebecca said firmly. That's my advice. Though ultimately, it's your decision. Responding publicly might make it worse. It turns into he said, she said, and suddenly you're both fighting in the comments of social media posts. Document everything, work with your attorney, and let the truth come out through proper channels. But be aware that some damage has already been done, and it may take time to repair. I nodded, feeling numb. Is my job in danger? No, she said, and her voice softened. You're good at what you do. Your work performance is excellent. But I need you to be aware that this is affecting how some people see you professionally, and we need to manage that carefully. Keep your head down, keep doing good work, and let your attorney handle the legal aspects. Can you do that? Yes. Good. And Sloan, I am sorry this is happening to you. For what it's worth, I think you're handling it with a lot more grace than most people would. When I left her office, I went straight to the bathroom and stared at my reflection in the mirror above the sinks. The woman looking back at me had dark circles under her eyes despite the 3 layers of concealer I'd applied that morning. Her jaw was tight, shoulders hunched. She looked like someone barely holding it together because that's exactly what she was. I locked myself in a stall and finally let myself cry. Not for Trevor. I was done mourning him. I cried for the version of my future that had died with that text message. For the home I'd imagined us building, with a yard for kids and a kitchen where we'd cook together on Sunday mornings. For the trust I'd given so freely, believing that when someone said they loved you, it meant something. For the $25,000 in deposits that represented 2 years of brown bag lunches and skipped yoga classes and saying no to girls' trips because I was saving for our future. I cried for the fact that doing nothing wrong, being the victim of someone else's cruelty, still somehow meant I was the one sitting in a bathroom stall at work trying to muffle my sobs so my coworkers wouldn't hear. When I got home that evening, I called my older sister, Diane. She'd been through a brutal divorce 5 years earlier. If anyone would understand, it was her. He's claiming what? Diane's voice was sharp. That you fraudulently induced him to open the credit line? His lawyer sent a formal demand letter. They're saying I verbally promised to pay all the installments indefinitely, and they have a witness. Who's the witness? Some friend of his, someone willing to lie. Diane was quiet for a moment. Do you have the original messages? Everything. The breakup text, the payment setup, all of it. Good. Your lawyer needs to respond with that documentation. Also, Sloan, this is going to get worse before it gets better. Are you prepared for that? I wasn't. Not really. But I said yes anyway because what other choice did I have? The legal response my attorney prepared was thorough. It included screenshots of Trevor's breakup message, showing clear language about ending the relationship and keeping the ring. It included the police report from the apartment incident. It included bank statements proving that I'd furnished the entire apartment before Trevor ever moved in. It included documentation that Trevor, as a luxury marketing professional, had voluntarily opened the credit line to build his relationship with high-end jewelers. The claim that your client was somehow tricked into this arrangement is absurd, my attorney wrote. He is an adult professional who made a conscious decision to finance a luxury item in his own name. That his former fiancé chose to contribute to those payments as a gift does not create a legal obligation for her to continue after he ended their relationship. But legal logic doesn't stop you from lying awake at 3 a.m., wondering if you should just pay the money to make it all go away. It doesn't stop you from losing 12 pounds in 6 weeks because food tastes like cardboard. It doesn't stop your hands from shaking when you open your email, terrified of what new accusation might be waiting. 2 weeks after the demand letter, I was sitting at my laptop at 11 p.m., staring at a draft email to Trevor's attorney. The email offered to pay half the remaining balance, $40,000 that would devastate my savings, just to end the nightmare. The cursor blinked in the subject line. Settlement proposal. Such clinical language for emotional devastation. Such professional terminology for surrender. My savings account balance was open in another tab. 40,000 would leave me with 18,000 in emergency funds. 18,000 felt like a lot until you remembered that's 3 months of expenses if I lost my job. 3 months between me and financial ruin. But it would be over. God, it would finally be over. My finger hovered over the send button. $40,000 to make it stop. To end the legal threats, the social media harassment, the constant anxiety, $40,000 was a lot. But my mental health was worth something too, right? My phone rang. Diane, why are you calling so late? I asked. Because I can feel when you're about to do something stupid. What are you doing right now? I looked at the draft email. Nothing. Sloan, what are you doing? I'm tired, Diane. I'm so tired of fighting. Maybe if I just paid half. Don't you dare. Her voice was steel. Don't you dare give that man $1 more. He cheated on you. He humiliated you. He tried to steal from you, and now you're going to reward him? It's not about rewarding him. It's about making it stop. It won't stop. People like Trevor don't stop when you give them what they want. They see weakness and they push harder. You delete that email right now. Diane, I mean it. You think paying him off will make you feel better? It won't. You'll just be $40,000 poorer and still traumatized. The only difference is he'll know you'll fold under pressure. And next time, because there will be a next time, he'll push harder. What if there's no next time? What if this is just me being stubborn? Then be stubborn. Sloan, listen to me. I paid my ex $12,000 I didn't owe him just to make the divorce faster. You know what happened? 6 months later, he came back asking for more, said I owed him for emotional distress. I had to get a restraining order. Appeasement doesn't work with people like this. I closed my eyes. I'm so tired. I know, but you're also strong. Stronger than you think. You delete that email right now. Diane, right now, Sloan. I'm serious. My hand trembled over the mouse. Then I closed the draft and dragged it to the trash. It's deleted. Good. Now listen to me. You are not weak. You are not wrong. And you are not going to let him win. After I hung up, I sat in the dark living room of my apartment. The same apartment I'd been so proud of buying at 29. The same apartment where Trevor used to tell me about his day, where we'd talked about the future, where I'd actually believed we were building something real. Everything felt like a lie now. Every memory was tainted. Every moment I'd thought was genuine turned out to be just, what? Performance? Calculation? I didn't even know anymore. 3 days later, my phone rang from an unknown number with a New York area code. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Is this Sloan? A woman's voice, uncertain. Who is this? My name is... Well, I'd rather not say. But I used to work with Cassidy. She got me fired 6 months ago, and I've been following this situation online. I think you should know the truth. My pulse quickened. What truth? Cassidy isn't some innocent woman who accidentally reconnected with her ex. She's been planning this for months. She knew about the ring, knew what it cost, knew Trevor was paying for it. I heard her talking about it before I was fired. She said, and I quote, "That ring is gorgeous and expensive, and once I get him back, we'll figure out the payment situation together." She didn't just run into him at that hotel bar. She found out where his bachelor party was and showed up intentionally. I felt dizzy. How do you know all this? Because she bragged about it to me. She showed me his social media, showed me pictures of the ring, talked about how she'd always regretted letting him go. When I confronted her about pursuing someone who was engaged, she got me fired for creating a hostile work environment. I have screenshots of some of our conversations if you want them. I can't use them myself. I signed an NDA when they paid me out, but you're not bound by my NDA. Why are you telling me this? I asked carefully. If you signed an NDA, because what she did to you, she did to me too. Different method, same cruelty. She ruined my career, my reputation. I can't touch her legally, but you can. And honestly, after watching her play victim online while I know the truth, I couldn't stay silent. My therapist says I need to stop obsessing over revenge, but this isn't revenge. This is justice. Her voice cracked slightly. You didn't deserve what she did. No one does. The screenshots are dated, they're authentic, and they prove she planned everything. That's all I can give you. Thank you. I managed. Truly. Use them well, she said, and hung up. Send them to me, please. The screenshots arrived within an hour, and I sat on my couch staring at them with a sick feeling spreading through my stomach like poison. Conversations between Cassidy and someone named M, about Trevor, about the ring, about their plans. I had to read each screenshot 3 times before the words actually penetrated. My brain kept trying to reject the information, like an immune system fighting infection. This couldn't be real. People didn't actually do this. But the dates were there. The specifics were there. The casual cruelty was there, preserved in blue message bubbles. The first screenshot was dated 4 months before Trevor's bachelor party. Cassidy. Saw T posted pics from some work event. He's wearing the ring. God, it's gorgeous. Girl, let it go. He's engaged. Cassidy. Yeah, well, she's boring. Marketing manager or something. Basic. He needs someone who gets the lifestyle. You're insane. Cassidy. I'm determined. That ring is like $80K. And he put it on credit to build relationships with jewelers. Smart. Always was smart about that stuff. I felt like I was going to be sick. She'd known. She'd known the price, known about the credit line, known everything. This wasn't just watching from a distance. This was reconnaissance. This was strategy. The next screenshot was from 3 months ago. Cassidy. His bachelor party is at the Harbor Hotel in July. Found out from his friend's girlfriend. Why do you know where his bachelor party is? Cassidy. Research. I'm just saying if I happened to be at that hotel bar that night. This is stalker behavior. Cassidy. It's not stalking, it's fate. We're meant to be together. This engagement is just a detour. My hands were shaking so hard I almost dropped my phone. This wasn't an accident. This wasn't a chance encounter at a hotel bar. This wasn't Trevor running into an ex and realizing old feelings were still there. This was calculated, premeditated, orchestrated like a military operation. Another screenshot from 2 weeks before the bachelor party. Cassidy. Booked a room at the Harbor Hotel July 2022. Same weekend as T's bachelor party. Coincidence? I think not. You're going to show up at his bachelor party? Cassidy. I'm going to show up at the hotel bar. What happens after that is destiny. Destiny. Right. What about his fiancé? Cassidy. She'll get over it. And honestly, he deserves better than some girl who pays his ring payments like he's a charity case. That last line. That fucking line. Like my generosity was something to mock. Like love and support were weaknesses to exploit. Like the fact that I'd been helping him build his career was somehow pathetic instead of what partners do for each other. There was even a screenshot of a search history showing Cassidy looking up the hotel where Trevor's bachelor party was booked. Another showing her researching me on social media, scrolling through my posts, studying my pictures like I was a target to eliminate. Another showing her looking up the cost of engagement rings at Westfield Fine Jewelers, calculating exactly what she was competing for. She'd studied me, studied him, studied the situation, and then she'd executed a plan to destroy it all. This wasn't passion. This wasn't love. This was a hostile takeover. She'd studied me, studied him, studied the situation, and then she'd executed a plan to destroy it. And Trevor, either he knew and played along, or he was too stupid and self-involved to see he was being manipulated. I wasn't sure which option was worse. I wasn't sure which option hurt more. I stared at my phone screen, feeling sick. The room seemed to tilt around me, the furniture blurring at the edges of my vision. It wasn't just betrayal. It was orchestrated, calculated, methodical. Every word Trevor had said about their chance encounter was a script. Every tear he'd cried about following his heart was theater. And I'd been the fool paying for tickets to my own humiliation. My apartment tilted. The walls seemed to breathe. The ceiling pressed down. I ran to the bathroom and threw up, my body physically rejecting the truth of what had happened to me. I knelt on the cold tile floor. My forehead pressed against the toilet bowl and heaved until there was nothing left. Until my stomach cramped and my throat burned and tears streamed down my face mixing with saliva and bile. This was what betrayal tasted like. This was what it felt like when someone you trusted turned out to be someone you'd never known at all. I don't know how long I sat there on the bathroom floor. Time felt strange, elastic. My phone kept ringing, Diane's name flashing on the screen over and over. I'd been ignoring it for over an hour. 6 calls, then 8, then 10. When I still didn't answer, she must have known something was very wrong. That's what the emergency key was for. I heard the sound of a key in my front door lock, then footsteps, then her voice calling my name. When she found me, I was still sitting on the bathroom floor, still holding my phone, staring at those screenshots like maybe if I looked at them long enough, they'd turn into something different. Something that didn't make me feel like the biggest idiot in the world. Sloane? She kneeled down beside me, taking in the scene. Oh, honey, what happened? I'm so stupid. I kept saying, my voice hollow. I'm so stupid. I'm so fucking stupid. You're not stupid. He is. She is. He was planning this. While we were talking about the wedding, while I was paying for his ring, while I was booking vendors and choosing flowers and planning our future, he was planning how to get rid of me without losing the ring, and she was helping him. Every I love you was a lie. Every conversation about our future was theater. Every time he held me and told me I was his forever, he was already casting me in his exit strategy. The words tumbled out between sobs. I picked out invitations. Diane. I spent hours choosing the exact shade of blush pink for the roses. I tasted 4 different wedding cakes. I had 3 fittings for a dress I'll never wear. I canceled yoga classes and coffee dates and girls' trips so I could save money for our future. Our future. It was never ours. It was never real. None of it was real. Diane sat down beside me on the cold tile floor. She didn't try to tell me it would be okay. She didn't try to minimize what had happened or rush me through my grief. She just sat there while I cried, occasionally handing me tissues from the box she'd grabbed from my nightstand, occasionally refilling my water glass from the sink. I thought I knew him, I said finally, my voice hoarse from crying and vomiting. 2 years, Diane. 2 years of my life with someone who was capable of this level of deception. 2 years of believing I'd found my person. 2 years of building a life with someone who was just using me, using my apartment, using my money, using my trust, using everything I gave him and planning his exit the entire time. You knew who he pretended to be. That's not your fault, that's his. But I should have seen it. There must have been signs, red flags I ignored, warning signs I missed because I was too in love or too stupid or too desperate to believe someone actually wanted to build a life with me. Stop. Diane's voice was firm. Stop doing that. Stop making this your fault. He lied. She manipulated. That's on them. Not you. You trusted someone you loved. That's not stupidity. That's being human. But it felt like stupidity. It felt like I'd painted a target on my back and handed them both arrows. It felt like every moment of the last 2 years was now contaminated. Every memory now a lie. Every plan now a joke I hadn't been in on. But it felt like my fault. It felt like I should have seen something, noticed something, protected myself better. The apartment was full of ghosts now. The ghost of every dinner we'd shared, every movie we'd watched, every morning I'd woken up next to him thinking I was safe. 2 days later, Trevor's attorney sent another letter. Cassidy had tried to contact me directly through social media. My attorney had shut that down immediately. Now they were offering a settlement. If I paid $30,000, they would drop all claims and legal action. My attorney's response was brief. Discovery is going to be very interesting for your client. We have documentation that will not reflect favorably on either Mr. Ashworth or his current girlfriend. We recommend you reconsider your position. She attached the screenshots. Trevor's attorney didn't respond for 4 days. When he did, the tone was completely different. After reviewing additional evidence, we are withdrawing all claims. Our client will not pursue this matter further. The property retrieval was scheduled for the following Tuesday at 10 a.m. I spent Monday night packing Trevor's belongings into 14 boxes, carefully labeled. His clothes went into boxes 1 through 4. The expensive suits he'd insisted he needed for client meetings. The casual shirts I'd bought him for his birthday. The gym clothes that still smelled faintly of his cologne. I folded everything precisely, mechanically, because if I thought too hard about what I was doing, I'd break down. Boxes 5 and 6 held his books and vintage promotional materials from luxury brands. The Cartier catalog from 1985 he'd found at an estate sale. The Tiffany lookbook from the 90s he'd been so excited about. I'd listened to him talk about these things for hours because I'd loved him and wanted to understand what he loved. The remaining boxes held his electronics, his favorite coffee mug with the stupid marketing joke, his electric toothbrush, his expensive skincare products. Each box was a meditation in letting go. Every piece of tape was a goodbye. Every labeled box was a door closing on a chapter I never wanted to reopen. The police officer who supervised the removal was the same older cop who'd responded to Trevor's initial complaint. When he arrived, he gave me a slight nod of recognition, something almost like respect in his eyes. "We meet again," he said quietly. "Third time's the charm," I replied, managing a small, tired smile. Behind him came my attorney, looking professional in her suit despite it being a Saturday. Then Trevor and his mother. Trevor looked terrible. He'd lost what must have been 15 or 20 pounds. His eyes were sunken, underscored by dark circles that no amount of sleep would fix. His hands visibly shook as he signed the property receipt. His mother, Patricia, immediately tried to push past everyone to inspect my apartment, her purse clutched tight to her chest like armor. I want to verify that nothing is missing. I want to check every room. This is my son's property. I'm sorry, ma'am, but all items on the agreed list are in these labeled boxes, my attorney said, physically blocking the doorway with surprising firmness for someone who stood barely 5'3". There's no need to enter the premises. We followed the itemization provided by Mr. Ashworth himself. Everything listed is present and accounted for. I don't trust her. Patricia's voice rose. She's vindictive and manipulative. Who knows what she's keeping or damaged out of spite? The list was prepared based on Mr. Ashworth's own itemization, signed and notarized. My attorney pulled out a folder, maddeningly calm. Everything listed is here. If you'd like to dispute any item, we can schedule a follow-up inspection with a neutral third party present, but that will require additional legal fees and a formal petition. The cost would be approximately $2,000 for the neutral inspector, plus legal fees for both parties. Would you like to proceed with that option? Patricia's mouth snapped shut. Trevor put a hand on her arm. Mom, it's fine. Let's just get the boxes. They started loading boxes in silence. The only sound the scraping of cardboard against the hallway floor, and Patricia's occasional huffing sighs of martyrdom. As they worked, I stood in my doorway with my attorney, watching this final dismantling of what I'd thought was my future. Trevor paused halfway through, holding box 7. He looked at me, really looked at me for the first time. Can we talk? Just for a minute, please? No, my attorney said firmly before I could even consider it. Please, Sloan, 5 minutes. Just you and me. I need to… Mr. Ashworth, all communication must go through proper legal channels, my attorney repeated, her voice leaving no room for argument. We're done here. Trevor's eyes filled with tears. Real tears, streaming down his cheeks. His mother rushed over, dropping the box she was carrying. This is emotional abuse, she shouted at me. Look what you've done to him. Ma'am, please lower your voice, the police officer said, stepping forward slightly. But Trevor was still looking at me, crying openly now. This is all wrong, he said, his voice breaking. You should have protected me. That's what people who love each other do. They protect each other from making mistakes. I made a mistake, and instead of helping me fix it, you're destroying my life. You knew I couldn't afford this ring on my own. You knew the payments were too much for me. You should have told me it was a bad idea. You should have stopped me from getting in over my head. The manipulation was so transparent, it would have been funny if it wasn't so pathetic. He'd cheated on me, tried to keep an expensive ring, sued me for the payments, had his girlfriend trash me online, and now he wanted me to take responsibility for his financial decisions? Now he wanted me to feel guilty for not preventing him from making bad choices? The law is clear on this matter, my attorney said calmly, pulling out yet another document. Ms. Sloan had no legal obligation to continue voluntary payments after the relationship ended. This matter is resolved. Please take your belongings and leave the premises. Trevor's mother put her arm around him like he was a wounded child, stroking his hair while shooting daggers at me with her eyes. We'll sue for emotional distress. You're abusive and manipulative, and everyone will see it. We have witnesses. We have documentation of how you've treated him. A judge will see through your lies. Feel free to pursue that avenue if you wish, my attorney replied, utterly unfazed. We'll be happy to present all evidence in court, including the documentation about the premeditated nature of Mr. Ashworth's infidelity, the screenshots of Ms. Cassidy's planning and stalking behavior, the social media defamation campaign, and the frivolous legal claims that have already been withdrawn. I'm quite confident about how that would play out in front of a judge. Additionally, we'd countersue for malicious prosecution and legal fees. So please, by all means, proceed if you'd like. Patricia's face went pale. Trevor's eyes widened slightly. Neither of them had expected us to have that much ammunition. They'd thought they were the only ones with evidence, the only ones with a story to tell. They finished loading the boxes in heavy silence, the earlier bravado completely deflated. As they were preparing to leave, Trevor paused with the last box in his arms and looked back at me one final time. I hope you're happy, he said, his voice breaking again. You got what you wanted. You made me into the villain, and now everyone thinks I'm some kind of monster. My credit is ruined. My career is suffering. Cassidy left me. My mom's house is in jeopardy. And you're just fine, aren't you? Standing there in your nice apartment that I helped make a home, watching me lose everything, and you don't even care. I felt something stir in my chest. But it wasn't guilt. It was something colder, harder, Something that had crystallized over these past months of fighting and crying and rebuilding. Trevor, you did this to yourself. Every single part of it. You decided to cheat. You decided to keep the ring. You decided to sue me. You decided to have your girlfriend trash me online. I just stopped paying for your choices. That's all. I stopped funding the consequences of your own actions. I loved you. No, you didn't. People who love each other don't do what you did. And Trevor, I helped make this apartment a home. I bought every piece of furniture before we even met. I paid the mortgage alone. You stayed here rent-free and somehow convinced yourself you were contributing. Even now, even after everything, you can't take responsibility for your own life. He opened his mouth to respond, but his mother pulled him away, muttering something about how I'd clearly always been unstable and how they should have seen the signs earlier. When they were gone, when the door finally closed behind them, I slid down to sit on the floor, every muscle in my body suddenly releasing tension. It had been holding for months. My attorney kneeled down beside me and put a hand on my shoulder. You did the right thing. Never doubt that. I know it doesn't feel good right now, but you did the right thing. I nodded, unable to speak, tears finally coming not from sadness but from sheer exhaustion and relief that it was finally over. But doubt doesn't care about logic. That night, I lay in bed in my empty apartment, listening to the silence that used to be filled with Trevor's presence, his breathing, his phone notifications, his late-night work calls. I wondered if I should have been kinder, if I should have at least listened when he asked to talk, if I should have shown some compassion for someone who was clearly suffering, regardless of what he'd done. Then I remembered the text message, the casual cruelty of breaking off an engagement via text at 1 a.m, the assumption that I would just accept it and continue funding his life, the lawsuit, the lies, the attempt to paint me as the villain when all I'd done was stop being his personal ATM. No, I'd done the right thing. But somehow, doing the right thing still felt like being hit by a truck, run over repeatedly, and then blamed for getting blood on the tires. I spent that entire week moving through my days like a ghost, going to work, coming home, staring at walls, not crying, not celebrating, just existing, processing. The apartment felt bigger somehow. Emptier, but also freer. Like I'd been holding my breath for months and could finally exhale. 6 months later, I was repainting the living room on a Saturday afternoon. The walls that had been soft gray, Trevor's choice, sophisticated and timeless, he'd said, were now warm sage green that made the space feel completely different. Lighter. More mine. New couch in deep navy blue. New curtains that let in actual sunlight. New everything. The wedding dress I'd finally donated to a charity that helps low-income brides. A young woman sent me a photo. She'd worn it to her courthouse wedding, beaming next to her new husband. "Thank you for giving my dress a happy ending," she wrote. I cried when I saw it. Good tears, finally. The dress got the love story it deserved, even if I didn't. I was erasing him one purchase at a time and reclaiming myself in the process. The version of me that existed before I'd spent 2 years molding myself into the woman Trevor wanted me to be. Work had improved dramatically after Cassidy's former coworkers exposed her pattern, pursuing men in relationships, creating drama, playing victim. 3 different women posted their own experiences with screenshots. The posts that once condemned me now filled with apologies. Even Priya, who'd first shown me those posts, stopped bringing it up. Work was just work again. I'd gotten a promotion 3 months after everything settled. Not because of the drama, Rebecca had been clear about that, but despite it. Senior operations manager, overseeing 3 major accounts, leading a team of 6. The raise helped offset the $25,000 I'd lost, though that money was gone forever. A lesson about trusting the wrong person. When Rebecca offered me the promotion, she closed her office door and sat across from me, not behind her desk. "I want you to know this has nothing to do with sympathy," she said. "You earned this. Your performance during one of the worst periods of your life was exceptional. Most people would have fallen apart. You got stronger." I did fall apart, I admitted. Just not at work. That's called professionalism. That's called resilience. She smiled. "Take the weekend to think about the offer. But Sloan, you deserve good things. Don't forget that." I cried in my car for 20 minutes after. Trevor had declared bankruptcy at 30. The jeweler repossessed the ring and auctioned it. The $80,000 ring sold for $32,000. His credit score was in the low 400s. He'd moved back in with his mother because he couldn't qualify for an apartment lease. Cassidy had left him within 3 weeks of discovering his financial situation. Posted something vague about realizing we wanted different things, and started dating an entrepreneur she met at some networking event. His mother really had taken out a second mortgage, $50,000 at a horrible interest rate. The jeweler demanded full deficiency balance plus interest and legal fees. Patricia was working 2 jobs now, trying to keep up with both mortgages. Part of me felt guilty about that. Not guilty enough to help. She'd been terrible to me, but guilty in that vague way you feel when you know someone is suffering even if they brought it on themselves. Trevor was living in her basement, working retail at an electronics store. His luxury marketing career was over. Once your credit tanks in an industry built on image and connections, there's no coming back. Danielle and his other college friends had quietly unfollowed me on everything. I didn't mind. I didn't feel good about any of it. But I didn't feel bad either. I felt nothing. And maybe that was the healthiest thing of all. I was at my usual coffee shop one Thursday, working on a logistics proposal when I saw him. Trevor sat in the corner with an old laptop, wearing an electronics store polo. He looked older, thinner, tired in a way that went beyond sleep, like someone who'd been ground down by life. He saw me too. Recognition flashed across his face, followed immediately by shame. His face flushed red and he quickly looked away, hunching over his laptop. I thought about walking over, about saying something, about asking if he'd learned anything from the implosion of his life, about offering some kind of closure. But I didn't. I picked up my coffee and moved to the window seat on the opposite side. Sat down and watched the street, people hurrying past with their own problems, their own battles. A woman with a stroller, 2 teenagers laughing, an elderly couple holding hands, life continuing, the world turning. I watched him through the reflection in the window glass. He looked up once, twice, like he wanted to say something but couldn't find the courage. Good. Let him sit with that feeling. Let him understand what it's like to want closure and not get it. 6 months ago, I would have wanted him to suffer. I would have wanted to walk over there and list every way he'd destroyed me, make him feel the weight of what he'd done. But now, I just wanted my coffee and my proposal and my afternoon back. The fact that I could sit 30 feet from him and feel nothing but mild annoyance at the coincidence, that was victory. Not the dramatic kind. Not the kind that makes a good story. Just the quiet, unremarkable victory of indifference. For the first time in 6 months, my chest didn't feel tight. My hands didn't shake. The familiar anxiety didn't rise in my throat. I just felt okay, not happy. Not vindicated. Just okay. Just here, drinking my coffee. Not thinking about what happened or what I'd lost. And honestly, after everything, okay felt pretty damn good. My phone buzzed, a text from Diane. Dinner tomorrow? My place. I'm making that pasta you like. I smiled and typed back. I'll bring the wine. Outside, the city moved forward. Inside, so did I.